Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So this lecture is going to cover everything about the preamble. Today we are going to study the preamble, and we are also going to study the amendments that are present in the preamble. And is preamble a part of the constitution? This is very important. We are going to study this, and we are also going to study, can the preamble be amended? Okay, so going to cover all these parts, and comprehensively we're going to study the preamble. So first of all, if we come to the preamble, the first thing that we need to understand is the preamble came into force on, please don't mind my handwriting, it came into force on which date? Can anybody please tell me in the comment section? Otherwise I'm going to write it. It came into force on 26th November 1949. Okay, so we all know that the constitution came into existence, or it commenced on 26th January 1950, whereas the preamble came into force on this date. Okay, it came into force in November itself. So now the question is, where do we get this date from? So we get this date from the preamble itself. If you see in the picture where the preamble is given, we see at the end of the preamble it is written 26th day of November 1949. So it is 26th November 1949. So preamble came into existence on this day, and the preamble originally it had total words which were only 81. So after the amendment, which amendment? After the 42nd amendment, four words were added. So there were 81 words in total earlier. Now the preamble has in total 85 words. So if there is a question in any competitive exam, be it judiciary or UPSC, whatever, if the question asks how many words does a preamble contain, so it is 85 words. Now we move on to these words that were added. So I'm going to tell you the words that were added after the 42nd amendment. And the 42nd amendment took place in 1976. The four words were, first was secular, second was socialist, third was integrity, and the last was and. So I'm going to specify these words in the picture that I have on the left side. So first word that was added was socialist, secular, integrity, and. Okay, so these four words were added by the 42nd amendment. I'm going to just rub this very quickly. So these four words by the 42nd amendment in 1976. So now the question arises that whether, if these words were not present in our constitution, was our constitution not guaranteeing us these things if it was not present? So even if these words were not present in the constitution, that does not mean that our constitution did not say that our country is socialist or secular. Even if these words would have not been there, still our country would have been secular and still our country would have been socialist. Now the next question that can be framed with respect to preamble is, who was the president or the chairman of the drafting committee of the constitution? So who was the president or chairman of what? Of drafting committee. So quickly write your answers if you know it, otherwise I'm going to write it. It was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Okay. So this is also a very frequently asked question in preliminary exams. So I just told you that. And so now we're going to study the preamble word by word. So the first words are "we the people of India." So there is no such ambiguity here. It just exactly means that the people of India are doing something. What are they doing? So they are having solemnly resolved. So they are deciding something. What are they deciding? So what does solemnly means? Sincerely or seriously. What does solemnly mean? Sincerely and seriously. So we're going to keep writing the meanings of the words that we are going to decipher. So what are the people of India deciding? They are seriously resolving. So what is resolved? Having seriously resolved what? Resolved means decided. So they are, we the people of India having the people of India are seriously deciding to constitute India. So what does to constitute means? To constitute means to create India. To create India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic. So now we're going to write the meaning of these words. Please understand carefully what these words mean. So first of all, sovereign means that a country is supreme. What? It is supreme. And socialist, and by supreme, I'll just explain it quickly, that by supreme I mean that there is no authority that is above us. That means that India is supreme. So what does India is supreme means? That India is not under the control of anybody. Okay, so this is what it means. Next is socialist. So our country is socialist and our constitution is also said to be a socialist document. So what does socialist word mean? It means that in our society, in our society, social justice is paramount. That means that first justice that a person must have in a country is social justice. Now, what is social justice? Social justice means that everybody should be treated equally and everybody should be equal before the laws, and there should be no social disparity in the society. Now, secular means that all religions are equal and there is no religion of the state. Okay. Now the next word is democratic. Democratic means the government, I'm going to just write the short form of government. Government is for the people, by the people, and of the people. Okay, that the government is made for the people, it is for the people, and it is made by the people, and it is of the people. That means जनता के लिए, जनता के द्वारा, and जनता की. Okay. Now we come to republic. What is republic? Republic means that the head of the state is elected. So we have elections for every authority that we have in our system, and obviously the head of the state, our president, is also elected, even though we have the indirect elections, but yeah, he is elected. So now we're going to read it from the starting. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republic, and to secure. So now we are constituting India into these 5 things, but we are securing something for our citizens. Okay, so we are constituting India into these 5 things, but we are securing something for our citizens, only for our citizens. Okay, to secure for all its citizens. What are we securing for all our citizens? We are securing to all citizens 3 things: justice, liberty, and equality. So these 3 things should always be given to our citizens. That is what the preamble is saying, that no citizen in our country should be deprived of these 3 things: justice, liberty, and equality. Okay, and what kind of justice? Okay, what kind of justice? Three kinds of justice we are talking about: socio economic and political. And liberty is given of five things. What is liberty? Liberty means, it means freedom. So there are five kinds of freedom that are given to our citizens. One is of thought. You can have as many different thoughts as you want and you can think about anything. मतलब जो आप सोचना चाहो उसकी आपको फ्रीडम है, वेयर एज कम्युनिस्ट कंट्रीज़ में वो भी नहीं होती. इफ़ दे हैव द एबिलिटीज़ टू इवन रीड योर माइंड दे माइट. And the next freedom is of expression. You can express it as you want, but obviously you should not hinder anybody else's right. The next freedom is of belief. You can believe in any religion or in any thought, in any point of view you want. The next is of faith. You can follow any religion. And the last is worship. So worship is upasana. Okay, आप किसी को भी पूज सकते हैं. This is dharma. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comment section. Now equality is given of two things, that is of status and opportunity. Okay, I just told you that to secure to all its citizen what, and what does justice means. You can just write it that justice means, it means balancing of interests. देखो, जब हम कोर्ट से जस्टिस मांगने जाते हैं तो कोर्ट क्या करता है, दोनों पार्टी की बात सुनता है और जो सबसे उसको वायबल वे लगता है जाने का, या उसे लगता है कि एक पार्टी झूठ बोल रही है या दूसरी पार्टी सच बोल रही है, वो उस हिसाब से, और किसको कितना लॉस हुआ है और किसको कितना कॉम्पनसेशन मिलना चाहिए, उस हिसाब से वो डिसाइड करती है. तो वो हर फैक्ट को बैलेंस करके और उनका इंटरेस्ट बैलेंस करके जस्टिस देती है. तो इसी को जस्टिस कहते हैं, बैलेंसिंग ऑफ इंटरेस्ट. दोनों पार्टीज़ की बात सुन के सही फैसला देने को ही बैलेंसिंग ऑफ इंटरेस्ट और जस्टिस कहते हैं. अब इक्वालिटी क्या होती है? इक्वालिटी हम दे रहे हैं स्टेटस और अपॉर्चुनिटी की. सो व्हाट डज स्टेटस मीन? इक्वालिटी ऑफ स्टेटस का ये मतलब होता है कि जैसे जब स्टेटस के थ्रू आपको कोई राइट्स और ड्यूटीज़ मिले, जैसे हमारा जनरली इंडियन सोसाइटी में ये होता है कि आपका जो काम होता है, आपका जो रहना होता है, आपका जो बात करना होता है, वो सब आपके स्टेटस पे डिपेंड करता है. तो वो यही बता रहे हैं कि आपको स्टेटस वाइज ऐसे डिफरेंशिएट नहीं किया जाएगा. ऑल स्टेटसेस विल बी ट्रीटेड इक्वली and you will be given equal opportunities of jobs or opportunity to earn or to grow or to study anything. Okay, so now we move on. So they're giving to secure to all its citizens justice, liberty, equality, and to promote among them all. So what are we doing? We are securing these three rights for our citizens, but we are promoting fraternity. because fraternity is something that you cannot, you know, you cannot tell people or you cannot teach people. You can just promote it. It should be felt by the other person. जब तक उसको खुद से अंदर से फ्रेटर्निटी का फीलिंग नहीं आएगा, फ्रेटर्निटी नहीं होगी. So they are promoting among them all fraternity. So what is fraternity? Fraternity means bandhutv, if I am pronouncing it right. So it means bandhutv, which means brotherhood. Okay, or feeling of togetherness. So they are promoting fraternity among people. Among them all, fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. So, by promoting fraternity, they are saying if you promote fraternity, then you will assure what? Dignity of individual plus unity and integrity of the nation. So if we see that our preamble has an individualist's view and a social view. They're also focusing upon the individual's dignity of the individual and the unity of integrity of the nation. They're saying if you promote fraternity, then you will assure dignity of individuals and you will also assure unity of integrity of the nation. So now what is left in the preamble is, in our Constituent Assembly this 26 November 1949 do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves. So we adopted this constitution, we ourselves enacted it, and we ourselves are giving it to ourselves. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you the meaning of all these words. All right. What is adopt? Adopt means embracing a document. Okay, that means that we are not just accepting the document, we are also accepting the principles and essence of the document. Doc plus essence of doc. Okay, now the next point is enact. What is enact? Enact means to give legal sanction. So we gave the legal sanction for the preamble, or the Constituent Assembly gave it on behalf of us. And the last is give to ourselves. Give to ourselves means that we are giving this constitutions to our souls. Giving to our souls. That is making consti and our souls as one. Okay, so if you want to take a screenshot of this very quickly, you can do that. Everything is explained very nicely. And another thing, we're just going to do this. Now we are going to connect the whole preamble. We're going to just write it very quickly. We, the people of India. Okay. What are we doing? We are solemnly resolving to constitute India into sovereign socialist secular democratic and the last is republic. Next, to secure justice, liberty and equality. Okay, to promote fraternity. To assure, let's not write to assure, let's write assuring dignity of individual second is unity and integrity of nation. So obviously I just wrote the whole thing again, but there is a purpose behind it, that we the people of India, we are solemnly resolving to constitute India into these 5 things. So generally, when a question comes that what is the goal of the preamble, then generally people say these 5 things are the goal of the preamble, but it is not. The preamble is working towards promoting fraternity. The main goal of the preamble can be said to be the fraternity, which ultimately promotes these 2 things. Okay, and why is fraternity being promoted? It is being promoted to assure these 2 things. So all the above things that we are doing is to promote fraternity. Okay, so the main goal of the preamble is fraternity. Okay, so moving on to the next question, that is preamble a part of the constitution? So in the case of Re-Berry Union case 1960 Supreme Court, the judge bench was 9 judge bench, and the judge was Gajendra Gatkar justice. So it was held in this case that preamble is not a part of the constitution. However, it is a key to open the minds of the framers of the constitution, and it reveals the intention of the framers. So preamble was nothing but just it revealed the intention of the framers according to this case. It was not a part of the constitution. Preamble is in itself neither a source of any powers nor a source of any restrictions. That means preamble does not give any powers to anybody, neither does it restrict anybody. The preamble is an important tool for the interpretation of the constitution. So it only shows the intention of the framers, and it helps in interpretation of the constitution and nothing else as per this case. However, in the next case, that is Keshwanand Bharti versus State of Kerala 1973 Supreme Court, where the judgment was delivered by SM Sikri Chief Justice, and the judge bench was 13 judge bench, 7:6 ratio. This is the highest judge bench in a judgment. So it was held that the preamble of the constitution cannot be seen in the same sense as a preamble to a normal statute. तो अगर किसी और एक्ट में except the constitution, अगर किसी और एक्ट में कोई preamble है तो उसका सेम स्टेटस नहीं होगा जो एक preamble of the constitution का होता है. उसको आप सेम सेंस में नहीं देख सकते. उन दोनों का वैल्यू डिफरेंट लेवल पे है. द preamble to the constitution is certainly a part of the constitution. So the Keshwanand Bharti declared that the preamble is a part of the constitution, but it is not an operating part of the constitution. That is, it is not a provision of the constitution. It is not an operating part, but it is certainly a part of the constitution. So obviously this section is just my views. This is not a part of the judgment, so if you want to read it you can read it, otherwise you can skip it. A law cannot be declared unconstitutional if it comes in conflict with the preamble. Rather, it has to come in conflict with the provisions of the constitution, only then. So therefore it is not an operating part. The preamble is an important tool for the interpretation of the constitution. So the Keshwanand Bharti also agreed that preamble is an important tool in interpretation of the constitution. The preamble is not a source of any base of the basic structure. Rather, it can be said to be the manifestation of the basic structure. Okay. So now we come to the next question, that is, can the preamble be amended, or is the preamble amenable? That means, that is the preamble amendable? Okay. Amenable means this. So now this question arose in the case of Minerva Mills versus Union of India. Here the judge bench was 5-judge bench, and the judge who delivered the judgment was Y.V. Chandrachud, Chief Justice. It was held that any positive amendment in the preamble can certainly be made. So any positive amendment is allowed. The edifice of the constitution has been built upon the concepts crystallized in the preamble. The 42nd Amendment adds vitality to the philosophy of the constitution. It makes explicit what was already implicit in the constitution. So this case was actually regarding the 42nd Amendment, and the 42nd Amendment we have seen earlier that it added 4 words to the preamble. So those 4 words were in question in this case. Therefore this case is talking about the amendment, and they are stating that positive amendment is certainly allowed, and 42nd Amendment is adding something to the philosophy of the constitution, vitality to the philosophy of the constitution. So it is making, that means it is only making something that was already implicit in the constitution. They are just making it explicit, they're just expressing it. So what is positive amendment? Positive amendment is something which is implicit in the constitution and you make it explicit. That is it. So what about negative amendment? What is negative amendment and whether it is allowed? So negative amendment, obviously, it is not allowed. But what is it? It means that obviously striking out the important or vital provisions of constitution. So this is what is negative amendment. Any amendment that affects the basic structure of the constitution will be known as negative amendment. So that is it for this class. Please let me know if you have any questions, and we meet in the next class. Bye. Thank you.